People hate him, but not for the reasons you might think. The Sigma male isn't loud, flashy, or eager to be noticed. In fact, he's the opposite. He is the embodiment of silence in a world addicted to noise. This man doesn't chase validation, and he certainly doesn't ask for permission. He walks through life like a ghost in broad daylight, seen but not truly known, and it drives people mad. Why? Because the Sigma male breaks the unspoken social contract, the one that says you must constantly prove yourself to others. He doesn't play by society's rules, not out of rebellion, but out of sheer disinterest. While others broadcast their lives online, counting likes and followers as proof of worth, the Sigma remains a mystery, a man unplugged from the algorithm. Psychologists have noted that humans are hardwired to respond to social cues. And when someone doesn't mirror back the expected behaviors, smiling on command, making small talk, showing deference, it triggers discomfort and even hostility. That's why the Sigma's quiet defiance isn't just misunderstood, it's feared. His habits, solitude, independence, emotional control, shine a light on everyone else's dependency, insecurity, and performative personas. And when someone doesn't beg to be liked, it threatens those who live for approval. That's why the Sigma male isn't just disliked, he's resented. His presence is a walking contradiction to everything people have been conditioned to admire. And it exposes something deeper, that maybe we've been taught to chase the wrong things. This video isn't about surface-level charm or charisma, it's about the truth, the raw, inconvenient truth. The very habits that make Sigma males so powerful are the same ones that make others uncomfortable. Not because they're wrong, but because they force people to confront their own weaknesses. So sit still, we're going deep. Habit 1, when presence feels like rejection. The modern world is designed to hijack your attention. Every app is meticulously crafted to trigger dopamine hits, making you crave likes, swipes, and endless scrolling. Brands spend billions to make you feel incomplete without their product. Social media influencers transform personal moments into performances, choreographing authenticity for views. In the middle of this digital circus, where noise is currency and visibility is power, the Sigma male steps back. He doesn't dance for algorithms or plead for relevance. He's not interested in broadcasting his breakfast or arguing in comment sections. Instead, he observes silently, strategically. He disappears from group chats, not out of rudeness, but out of rebellion, rejecting the unspoken demand to be constantly available. He skips the party not because he's shy, but because he values substance over spectacle. And when he does walk away, it's without a dramatic exit or lingering goodbyes. That silence, it's deafening to those who need constant reassurance. His absence becomes a mirror, reflecting others' insecurities. People don't hate the Sigma because he's distant. They hate that he's immune to the system they've surrendered to. In a world addicted to validation, his indifference is revolutionary. Society tries to frame him as antisocial, broken, or cold because labeling him makes him easier to dismiss. But the truth is, he's not playing their game, he's playing his own. Research in psychology has shown that people who are less dependent on external validation tend to be more emotionally resilient and self-aware. The Sigma embodies this, functioning with an internal compass rather than a crowdsourced map. His detachment isn't apathy, it's a conscious boundary. He's not hostile, he's just free. And that freedom in a world built on conformity is terrifying, because the moment you stop needing the crowd is the moment you realize how much control they had. The Sigma male has already realized this. He's not here to be liked, he's here to be real, and that alone makes him dangerous in a society addicted to performance. Habit 2, indifference is his armor. People often misunderstand the Sigma male because he doesn't operate like the rest. His calm demeanor is mistaken for coldness, his silence for arrogance, and his emotional detachment for disrespect, but nothing could be further from the truth. Internally, the Sigma is not wrestling with the need to be liked or validated. There is no internal chaos demanding external comfort. He's not chasing the highs of applause or running from the lows of criticism. What lies beneath his still surface is a rare form of self-mastery, emotional sovereignty. Studies in psychology confirm that individuals with high emotional intelligence are less reactive and more resilient under pressure. And the Sigma embodies this to the extreme. He moves through conflict with surgical precision, addressing problems not with raised voices or flared tempers, but with calm decisions and calculated boundaries. He doesn't lash out because he doesn't need to. That kind of control, especially in high-stakes or emotionally charged situations, can be unnerving to those who are ruled by impulse and emotion. People who haven't developed that level of inner discipline often find his composure threatening, so they call it cold, they call it robotic, they call it disgusting. But what they really mean is intimidating, because in a society where emotional reaction is currency, where drama, outrage, and vulnerability are traded like likes and retweets, his refusal to play along is seen as rebellion. He doesn't crumble when ignored. He doesn't beg for attention, and he certainly doesn't compromise his peace to soothe someone else's chaos. He isn't heartless. He simply isn't governed by emotional storms. That's a level of independence most don't understand, and yet paradoxically, it's what draws people in. There's strength in his silence, power in his restraint. In a culture saturated with oversharing and overreacting, the Sigma stands apart. He's proof that you don't have to be loud to be powerful, and you don't have to be seen to be in control. His detachment isn't rejection, it's refinement. It's the result of years spent mastering the inner world while others were distracted by the outer one. In a world addicted to emotional reactions, the Sigma's calm is not a flaw, it's a threat, and deep down they know it. Habit 3. He exposes the performers. In social settings, Sigma males do something deceptively simple, yet undeniably dangerous. They listen, they watch, they calculate. While others compete for attention, status, or validation, the Sigma remains silent, observant, and disengaged from the social rat race. This isn't passivity, it's power in its quietest form. The Sigma male doesn't need to assert dominance because he dismantles the very framework that demands it. When the loudest man in the room boasts about his achievements, the Sigma offers no applause or rivalry, only a calm, unreadable gaze. When a manipulator spins their web of control, the Sigma doesn't argue or react. He simply removes himself from the trap, exposing the manipulator's game without a word. His silence becomes unsettling because it doesn't offer the emotional feedback people crave. Psychologically, humans are wired to seek acknowledgement, to test their power against others. The Sigma denies them that satisfaction, and in doing so, he becomes a mirror, one that reflects not admiration but insecurity. This is why many find the Sigma male unnerving. He operates outside the traditional social hierarchy, where alpha males dominate and betas submit. In fact, psychologist Robert Hogan's socioanalytic theory explains that most people are driven by a need to get along and get ahead. The Sigma violates both. He doesn't strive to belong, and he doesn't chase status. Yet paradoxically, his independence becomes magnetic. People can't ignore him, and that breeds resentment. His refusal to play by society's rules feels like rebellion, especially in a world obsessed with visibility and performance. His power lies in detachment. While others are busy strategizing their next move in the social chess game, the Sigma is already 3 moves ahead, or not even playing the game at all. This psychological distance allows him to observe motives, read intentions, and dismantle manipulative structures with surgical precision. He doesn't need to dominate the room to own it. His quiet presence challenges the very foundation of social power, and that in itself is threatening. People hate him not because he tries to win, but because he doesn't try at all, and still leaves a lasting impact. In a society addicted to noise, the Sigma's silence is revolutionary and dangerous. Habit 4. Mastery offends the mediocre. Most people today are addicted to distraction, and not by accident. In a world engineered for instant gratification, the average person scrolls, swipes, and refreshes their way through life, chasing fleeting hits of dopamine from social media, gossip, and superficial entertainment. It's a mental diet of junk food. And just like poor nutrition ruins the body, poor mental input sabotages growth. But the Sigma male is wired differently. He doesn't chase dopamine, he chases discipline. While others binge-watch shows or endlessly check their notifications, the Sigma is building. He's learning a new skill, refining his craft, investing in silence, and making invisible gains that compound over time. He doesn't seek validation from others. He's too focused on validating his own potential. This quiet dedication makes him both admirable and threatening. Not because he brags about his progress, he doesn't. In fact, his success is often invisible until it becomes undeniable. He simply becomes unreachable, not because he looks down on others, but because he's operating on a frequency few are willing to tune into, mentally, financially, and spiritually. And as his life begins to transform, people take notice, but not in celebration. Instead, they whisper, "He's just lucky. He's weird. He's full of himself." But deep down, their criticisms are a defense mechanism, a way to excuse their own complacency. The Sigma's very existence is a quiet indictment of their wasted potential. He represents what they could have become had they chosen focus over distraction, discipline over indulgence, purpose over popularity. His life becomes a mirror they can't escape, reflecting the reality they've avoided. That's why they hate him, not for what he says, but for what he silently reminds them. They're choosing stagnation while he chooses growth. And in a society that rewards noise and punishes solitude, the Sigma male's refusal to conform is both rebellious and powerful. He's not addicted to distractions. He's addicted to becoming the man he was always meant to be. Habit 5, disappearing without explanation. The Sigma male doesn't make a scene when he leaves. He doesn't slam doors or send dramatic texts. He simply vanishes, without warning or explanation. To many, this behavior feels cold or dismissive, but in truth it has nothing to do with cruelty. It's self-preservation. The Sigma is wired differently. He doesn't thrive on social validation or external reassurance. Instead, he operates from a deeply internal compass, and when he senses imbalance, manipulation, or emotional noise, his instinct is to retreat, not to hurt, not to punish, but to recharge, reassess, and protect his peace. His silence is not a declaration of war. It's an act of quiet rebellion against the chaotic pull of modern interpersonal expectations. Yet for those left behind, his exit feels like abandonment. Why? Because in a world obsessed with attention, validation, and being seen, the Sigma's withdrawal acts like a mirror. It reflects just how dependent many have become on external affirmation. Ghosting, a term often associated with immaturity or disrespect, takes on a different meaning when viewed through the Sigma lens. It's not a tactic, it's a philosophy. While others demand closure and explanations, the Sigma sees no need to explain what he didn't disrupt. His departure is not an attack, it's an alignment with authenticity. And this calm detachment, this complete indifference to dramatic farewells, hits harder than any argument. In fact, studies in psychology suggest that emotional ambiguity, such as a sudden, unexplained withdrawal, can be more psychologically distressing than overt conflict. It leaves the other person spiraling in self-doubt, not because of the Sigma's cruelty, but because of their own unhealed need for validation. The Sigma doesn't seek to sting, but the silence speaks louder than confrontation ever could. And that's what truly unsettles people, not the distance itself, but the realization that they were never as necessary to him as they thought. His world doesn't crumble without them. He doesn't beg for understanding. He just moves quietly, powerfully, and on his own terms. That is the essence of Sigma detachment. Not bitter, but deliberate. Not emotional manipulation, but energetic recalibration. And in a society addicted to noise, his silence is louder than thunder. Habit 6, speaking only when necessary. The Sigma male is allergic to small talk, not in the literal medical sense, of course, but in the way a minimalist reacts to clutter. It irritates him, bores him, and drains him. Unlike others who feel the need to fill silence with idle chatter just to avoid the discomfort of stillness, the Sigma male treats silence like a canvas, not a void. He doesn't speak to validate himself, to prove his worth, or to curry favor. He speaks when he has something to say, deliberate, calculated, and purposeful. This is not a matter of arrogance, but of authenticity. His communication is rooted in substance over style and depth over decoration. But to the average observer, his reserved demeanor can feel cold, standoffish, or even robotic. That's because we live in a culture that often equates verbal fluency with friendliness and silence with judgment. The Sigma male breaks that code entirely. Research in psychology confirms that people with introverted or highly independent temperaments like the Sigma archetype tend to find small talk not just tedious but cognitively taxing. It's not that they can't engage, they simply choose not to waste energy on conversations that don't move the needle. And that choice unsettles people. In a world dominated by noise, where everyone's broadcasting their thoughts and opinions 24/7, silence is often mistaken for disdain. But for the Sigma male, silence is strength. It's discipline. It's a filter that guards his energy, allowing him to invest his attention into ideas, pursuits, and people that actually matter. While others scatter their words like confetti, hoping something sticks, he treats his words like arrows, few, precise, and aimed with intent. In this sense, his quiet presence becomes a kind of rebellion against the performative noise of modern life. And paradoxically, that silence speaks louder than any sales pitch or social performance ever could. It's not that he's trying to insult anyone, he just refuses to speak unless his words carry weight. Habit 7, pursuing purpose, not popularity. He doesn't network, he aligns. In a world obsessed with constant self-promotion, handshakes, and status-driven circles, the Sigma male operates on a different frequency. He doesn't chase connections for clout. He seeks alignment of purpose, values, and vision. This is not arrogance, it's intentional living. While most people attend events, collect business cards, and trade authenticity for acceptance, the Sigma male works in silence to make himself undeniable. He doesn't shout his potential, he proves it. And this right here is what unsettles others. Society often rewards performative behavior over substance, but the Sigma's strength lies in doing the exact opposite. He isn't interested in playing the popularity game. His self-worth isn't dependent on being liked, validated, or praised. According to psychological studies, individuals with strong internal motivation, like Sigma personalities, are more likely to experience long-term fulfillment and resilience. This makes the Sigma male dangerous in the eyes of a conformist world because he doesn't need the approval of others to act. His goals are not sculpted by Instagram trends, peer pressure, or applause. He has a clear inner compass that guides his mission, often forged in solitude, hardship, and fierce independence. While others gravitate toward the crowd for safety and identity, he moves toward clarity, of thought, of purpose, of soul. Crowds can be noisy and chaotic. Clarity, on the other hand, is rare and earned. He builds while others scroll. He reflects while others react. This is not just a different habit, it's a different blueprint for life. And people don't just fail to understand it, they fear it. Why? Because it exposes their own dependency on external validation. It forces them to confront the uncomfortable truth that the loudest in the room is rarely the strongest. The Sigma male isn't antisocial, he's selectively social. He doesn't crave attention, he commands respect. And perhaps the scariest part, he does it all without asking for permission. In a world addicted to being seen, the Sigma male has mastered the art of becoming unforgettable without ever needing to be loud. Habit 8, rejecting manipulation instantly. The Sigma spots manipulation like smoke in a room, swift, subtle, and suffocating if unnoticed. Whether it's guilt-tripping disguised as concern, gaslighting masked by confusion, or flattery laced with ulterior motives, the Sigma male doesn't fall for it, not because he's cold-hearted, but because he's emotionally intelligent and mentally unshakable. You see, the Sigma operates from a place of inner clarity. He's studied human behavior intentionally or intuitively, and understands that manipulation thrives on emotional reaction. The manipulator's toolbox relies on getting a rise out of their target: confusion, defensiveness, anger, and neediness. But the Sigma offers none of these. He doesn't bite the bait, he doesn't argue to set the record straight, nor does he beg to be understood. Instead, he simply disengages. His silence is not a lack of awareness, it's a calculated move. Psychology tells us that manipulation loses its power when it is not rewarded with attention or emotion. The Sigma lives by this law. He stays calm, observes patterns, and when the signs become clear, he detaches. Manipulators hate him for this, because their power dissolves in the face of emotional neutrality. While most people are pulled into the manipulator's game, trying to explain themselves, defending their worth, or trying to fix the situation, the Sigma does the opposite. He exits, quietly, cleanly, effectively. This behavior is rooted in what some psychologists refer to as gray rocking, a technique where one becomes so emotionally unresponsive that the manipulator loses interest. But for the Sigma, this isn't a trick, it's a lifestyle. His minimal attachment to social validation gives him the freedom to walk away from toxic dynamics without second-guessing himself. He doesn't seek closure. He doesn't need to win. His win is peace. And so, while manipulators create storms, the Sigma walks in with a barometer and a parachute. He doesn't just survive manipulation, he makes it obsolete. The game ends before it even begins because he refuses to play. In a world that rewards reaction, his stillness is rebellion. In an arena where manipulators feed on emotional drama, the Sigma offers only one thing: ice-cold awareness. He's not angry. He's not bitter. He's just gone. And by the time the manipulator realizes they have no strings to pull, the Sigma is already halfway across the mental map, exploring higher ground where peace and purpose, not power plays, are the currencies of value. The Sigma male doesn't set out to be disliked. He simply lives as his most authentic self. He doesn't conform, doesn't flatter, and certainly doesn't beg for validation. In a world addicted to likes, masks, and shallow approval, his quiet defiance becomes an unspoken rebellion. Psychologically, this self-possession can trigger insecurity in others because it reflects a freedom they secretly crave but fear to pursue. People don't hate him for doing wrong, they resent him for doing what they're too afraid to do, live unfiltered. So while others judge or gossip, the Sigma watches, adapts, and evolves, alone, unnoticed, and unforgettable. What if I told you there's a breed of men so unpredictable, so unconventional, that society just can't figure them out? Ever been told you're weird just because you don't chase the crowd, or wondered why you're always misunderstood even though you're just being you? Once a guy walked into a room, didn't say a word, and yet every eye followed him. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, he just had this presence. That silent intensity, that Sigma energy, a quiet storm. That, my friends, was a Sigma male. And society didn't know what to do with him. Sigma males break all the traditional molds. They don't crave validation. They're not looking to dominate like alphas or follow like betas. Instead, they create their own lane and walk it, alone if they have to. Psychology even supports this. Studies in personality theory show that Sigma-like traits, such as high introversion, strategic independence, and deep thinking, often correlate with success in leadership and creativity. Today, we're diving into 12 crazy things Sigma males do that confuse everyone. These aren't just quirks, they're insights into a mind that values freedom over fame and depth over drama. Let's unravel this enigma and see what makes the Sigma male the ultimate wild card. Number 1, they disappear without warning and love it. Sigmas don't ghost, they vanish. One minute they're fully present, laughing at a joke or observing from the corner, and the next, gone. No warning, no dramatic exit, just silence. It leaves people confused, sometimes even offended, because most are conditioned to expect closure or a proper goodbye. But Sigma males aren't driven by social expectations. They move on instinct and inner alignment, not obligation. This behavior isn't about disrespect, it's about preservation. Sigmas are introverted alphas. They operate in bursts of social energy, but prolonged exposure drains them. Psychologically, this is rooted in how introverts recharge through solitude. Research from the Journal of Personality shows that introverts often experience social fatigue quicker than extroverts. For a Sigma, slipping away unnoticed is not a snub, it's a survival tactic. Their disappearing act is also strategic. Like Batman, they don't need the limelight. They observe, act, and retreat. And in that retreat, they regain clarity, recalibrate their focus, and come back stronger. It's not coldness, it's discipline. A Sigma male values his mental space more than meaningless small talk, and if that means vanishing without a trace, so be it. He isn't seeking approval, he's seeking peace, and that's his real power. Number 2, they ignore social hierarchies completely. CEO, janitor, influencer, farmer. Sigmas treat everyone the same, and that disrupts the very hierarchy society depends on. In a world built on titles, ranks, and social clout, this is radical. Most people are conditioned to either seek approval from those above them or exert dominance over those below. But Sigmas don't follow that script. They view everyone as human first. Whether you're cleaning the floors or closing million-dollar deals, they'll judge you by your integrity, not your status. This attitude confuses people. Why isn't the Sigma groveling before the CEO or trying to impress the Instagram star? Because they genuinely don't care about the label. They care about authenticity. Studies in psychology suggest that people with high levels of self-differentiation, those who maintain their identity regardless of social pressure, are less likely to be influenced by status games. That's Sigma behavior in a nutshell. Imagine a black tie event. While others swarm the rich and famous, the Sigma might be chatting with the janitor about philosophy or asking the bartender about his dreams. That's not rebellion, that's sincerity. And in a society addicted to power and validation, this kind of level-headed respect is not just rare, it's revolutionary. Number 3, they never ask for validation, ever. Sigmas are allergic to approval seeking, and that's not just a catchy phrase, it's a deeply rooted trait in their psychology. In today's digital age, social validation has become the currency of self-worth. People obsess over likes, retweets, and comments, often equating popularity with purpose. But Sigmas, they reject that game entirely. While the world is busy curating highlight reels, Sigmas are building the real thing, quietly, consistently, and without the need for applause. They don't post "felt cute," might delete later selfies because their identity isn't up for public vote. Their self-worth doesn't come from social media engagement, but from personal growth, achievements, and silent discipline. This behavior aligns with studies in psychology showing that those with an internal locus of control, people who believe they control their own destiny, tend to be more successful and emotionally resilient. It's confusing to outsiders because the Sigma's power doesn't scream, it whispers. They don't chase claps, they create waves. And here's the twist. That quiet confidence, it's magnetic. People are drawn to those who don't need validation to feel valuable. In a noisy world, Sigmas are the calm force that others can't help but notice. That's the real flex. Number 4, they love small groups or complete aloneness. Forget networking events or huge social mixes. Sigma males thrive in meaningful one-on-one conversations or deep solitude. This isn't about being antisocial, it's about rejecting anything inauthentic. Sigma males don't waste energy on surface-level chatter. They crave conversations that challenge ideas, stir emotions, and tap into real human experiences. Psychologists have noted that introverted personalities, especially those who exhibit high levels of self-awareness and independence, hallmarks of the Sigma archetype, tend to recharge in solitude. This downtime isn't emptiness, it's a mental reset. In those quiet moments, Sigma males aren't isolating, they're recalibrating, reflecting, and refining their next move. Research also shows that deep thinkers often require solitude to access creative insight. For Sigmas, this silence is sacred ground, the place where their most powerful ideas are born, and because they operate from such a centered internal place, people often struggle to read them. They don't project their emotions like others. Their energy is subtle but potent, tuned to a frequency few are aware of, let alone understand. So while others hustle for attention in crowded rooms, Sigma males are quietly building empires, either in deep dialogue or silent clarity. They don't need the spotlight. They are the signal in a world full of noise. Number 5, they're fierce observers, not big talkers. You'll often find a Sigma male sitting quietly, not awkwardly, but intentionally. While others might feel the need to chatter just to fill the air, the Sigma chooses silence with purpose. He's not disengaged, he's observing. Every glance, tone, and gesture is being logged in his mental database. He's reading the room like a chessboard, planning his next move, not for manipulation, but for precision. This behavior is rooted in strong emotional intelligence and heightened situational awareness. Studies in psychology show that people who listen more than they speak tend to make better decisions and are perceived as more trustworthy. That's exactly what the Sigma taps into, and then it happens. He speaks, not often, but when he does, it lands with weight. His words are measured, impactful, and often cut through the fluff with brutal honesty. This directness can make some uncomfortable, especially those used to sugar-coated conversations, but it also commands respect. People begin to realize his quiet isn't emptiness, it's calculation. His silence isn't shyness, it's strength. In a world full of noise, the Sigma's calm, deliberate presence stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. He doesn't need to shout to be heard. His silence is his strategy. Number 6, they make unpredictable life choices. That Sigma who left a 6-figure job to live in a cabin in the woods? Yeah, him. He's not crazy, he's calculated. Sigmas aren't interested in following society's well-worn blueprints. They follow something far deeper, purpose. While most are obsessed with climbing the corporate ladder, a Sigma pauses and asks, why are we all building the same life? Research shows that job satisfaction isn't always linked to salary. In fact, a 2022 study by McKinsey found that 70% of employees said their work defined their sense of purpose, not their paycheck. Sigmas understand this on an instinctive level. They chase freedom over fame, solitude over spotlight, and meaning over money. Their unpredictability makes them powerful. Society struggles to define them, and that's the point. While others seek validation, Sigmas move silently, driven by an inner compass few can comprehend. Their path isn't rebellious for the sake of it, it's intentional. Choosing to live in a cabin isn't about escaping life, it's about embracing it on their terms. That rare kind of boldness confuses some and inspires others. Because when a Sigma walks away from everything society values, he often discovers something far more valuable himself. Would you choose purpose over paycheck? Number 7, they're impervious to peer pressure. Sigmas don't care about fitting in, and that's one of the things that sets them apart. Unlike those who seek approval through conformity, Sigmas follow their own values, not the opinions of others. They don't dress to impress, they dress to express their true selves, reflecting their unique identity. Their choices aren't influenced by societal pressures or trends. They wear what resonates with them, not what's expected. When it comes to social interactions, Sigmas are authentic. They won't laugh at a joke simply to fit in, especially if it's not funny to them. They don't engage in surface-level conversations or pretend to agree just to avoid conflict. For Sigmas, authenticity is key, and they are willing to stand apart to stay true to themselves. This kind of independence can make others uneasy. People who thrive on conformity feel threatened by Sigma's refusal to comply with societal norms. But here's the thing, Sigma's authenticity is a gift to others. It frees those around them to be more genuine too. They inspire others to embrace their uniqueness and reject the pressure to conform, creating space for a more authentic and liberated environment for all. Number 8, they master many skills alone. Sigmas are the ultimate DIY warriors. Whether it's learning to play the guitar, coding an app, or picking up a completely new skill, Sigmas are the ones who dive in headfirst and learn everything on their own. They don't rely on formal education, classrooms, or instructors. Instead, they spend hours on tutorials, practice relentlessly, and push themselves to master new abilities in complete silence. Take learning an instrument, for instance. A Sigma will binge-watch tutorials for months, studying every technique, then practice every day until their fingers are sore. They're not seeking external validation. They do it because they're driven by personal growth and satisfaction. Similarly, if a Sigma decides to learn how to code, they'll spend time building their own apps, figuring out solutions to complex problems, and gaining expertise before ever asking for help or even showing anyone what they've been working on. Why do they do this? Because learning in silence is their superpower. Unlike those who need validation or external recognition to feel motivated, Sigmas thrive when they can explore their own interests quietly and independently. The process of self-teaching allows them to master skills without the pressure or distractions of others. There's no classroom environment, no need for approval, and no competition, just pure focus on personal growth. What others often don't realize is how quietly brilliant Sigmas are. While they might not flaunt their talents, when the time comes to showcase their skills, they do so with such confidence and mastery that it catches everyone by surprise. That's the Sigma way. Learn, master, and then quietly wow the world with their capabilities. Number 9, they challenge norms without raising their voice. Sigmas don't lead protests. Instead, they live rebelliously. Rather than demanding change through loud speeches or public demonstrations, they reject tradition quietly but powerfully. They make deliberate choices that defy societal norms, whether it's in their career, lifestyle, or appearance, often with a sense of calm confidence that makes it look effortless. This kind of silent rebellion is more impactful than it might seem. It doesn't need to be loud to be noticed. When a Sigma male rejects the standard path, whether it's in their unconventional career choices, unique fashion, or independent way of thinking, they send a clear message. It's a message that resonates deeply, especially in a world that often pressures individuals to follow the herd. What's fascinating about Sigmas is that their rebellion doesn't scream for attention, it simply exists. This quiet courage, this subtle defiance, confuses people because it's not aggressive, yet it's deeply inspiring. By living authentically, Sigmas show others that it's possible to break free from societal expectations and live life on their own terms. In doing so, they inspire others to find their own path of individuality and freedom. Number 10, they're friendly but impossible to get close to. People are drawn to Sigmas. Their intriguing, magnetic personalities capture attention, and their charm can be irresistible. However, just when someone thinks they've gotten close, the Sigma suddenly establishes distance, creating an emotional boundary that can leave others puzzled. So why do Sigmas behave this way? It's simple. They value trust above all else. After facing betrayal or hurt in the past, Sigmas become cautious about who they let into their inner world. To them, trust isn't something easily earned. It's a sacred element that can't be bought with surface-level interest. They don't just open up to anyone. They require authenticity, consistency, and time. This guarded approach can confuse others, especially when they mistake it for arrogance or aloofness. But for Sigmas, it's not about creating walls to keep people out. Instead, it's a protective measure designed to preserve their peace of mind. They understand that true connection comes only when mutual respect and trust have been established. And until then, they remain selective about who gets access to their vulnerable side. This balance of independence and trust is what makes the Sigma so compelling, yet elusive. Number 11, they value silence more than talk. Awkward silence? Not for Sigma males. In fact, silence is their secret weapon. While most people might feel uncomfortable during quiet moments, Sigmas thrive in them. Imagine spending an hour in complete silence with someone, yet feeling closer than after a long, drawn-out conversation. That's the Sigma experience. Many of us have been taught that meaningful connections require constant conversation, but Sigmas understand something deeper. They bond not through words, but through energy, presence, and vibes. They don't need to fill every space with talk. Their connection is felt, not heard. It's an unspoken understanding that creates a rare, genuine bond. Sigmas are masters of comfort in silence. They don't need to talk to prove their connection or validate their presence. This ability to be still and at ease is something that most people struggle with. In a world filled with noise and constant chatter, finding someone who can sit in silence with you and still share a strong bond is incredibly rare and real. This isn't about being distant or disinterested. Instead, it's about being so comfortable in one another's presence that silence becomes an intimate form of communication. It's a reminder that the most powerful connections don't always need words, just genuine energy. Number 12, they don't compete, they create. Sigmas aren't interested in competing with others. Instead, they're laser-focused on personal growth, striving to outdo themselves from the day before. While the world around them gets caught up in a cycle of comparison, Sigmas are busy shaping their future. They know that the real competition is with their own potential, and they channel their energy into breaking personal barriers and expanding their abilities. This mindset is both powerful and perplexing. It's powerful because Sigmas operate from a place of self-discipline and self-awareness. They recognize that their only true rival is the version of themselves that existed yesterday. By constantly challenging their own limits, they ensure progress without relying on external validation. But it's also perplexing to others because, unlike those who chase the spotlight, Sigmas often shine without ever seeking attention. They're not interested in proving themselves to anyone, they just want to improve. As a result, their achievements seem effortless and natural. While others may scramble for recognition or success, Sigmas move in silence, making strides toward greatness without a need for applause. The paradox here is clear. Sigmas don't follow conventional paths to success. They don't seek out accolades or competition. Instead, they focus inward, crafting a life that's meaningful on their own terms. And in doing so, they naturally become people that others admire. 5 seconds. That's all it takes for a Sigma brain to decide. Whether to detach or stay loyal, whether to fight or disappear into the shadows. Now let me ask you, Sigmas, have you ever felt like someone was slowly draining the life out of your mind while smiling to your face? Like every silent judgment, every manipulative word was designed to chip away at who you are? Let me take you into a story. He was the quiet storm, independent, focused, emotionally intelligent, a man who didn't crave the spotlight but always knew exactly who he was. Until one day, she walked in. She didn't shout, she didn't hit, but every day she made him feel less. She made jokes about his solitude, mocked his independence, called his silence weakness. And slowly, piece by piece, the Sigma began to unravel. But here's the bold truth. When you emotionally abuse a Sigma male, you don't break him. You awaken something powerful within him. Welcome to today's video. This is what happens to Sigma brain. when they are emotionally abused. This isn't just a story, it's a revelation, it's a warning. And it's a blueprint for every Sigma who's ever been misunderstood, manipulated, or mistreated. Let's break it down. Number one, the Sigma brain, a fortress of thought. Sigmas aren't like the average guy. Their minds aren't built for emotional chaos. They're engineered for precision, reflection, and quiet strength. While others may react to emotional abuse with yelling, tears, or confusion, Sigmas respond in a more calculated way. They don't explode, they observe, they study, and they remember. Think of it like this. Being in a toxic relationship for a Sigma is like watching a psychological thriller unfold in real time, except they're also the detective. Their emotional intelligence isn't loud, but it's highly tuned. Research shows that people with introverted, analytical personalities often process emotions more deeply than extroverts, which makes Sigmas hyper-aware of subtle manipulation tactics like gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and blame-shifting. When emotional abuse begins, the Sigma doesn't always call it out immediately. They're gathering data, how often the manipulation occurs, how it's delivered, and how it's disguised. A Sigma might quietly think, did she just twist my words and make it look like it's my fault? That's when the internal alarm starts to go off. What makes Sigmas different is that they don't internalize the abuse. They don't believe the lies, they decode them. And once the pattern is clear, the mental boundaries snap into place. It's not a fight. It's a silent exit strategy. Studies in cognitive psychology support this kind of response. People with high levels of self-awareness and independence, traits common in Sigma males, are less likely to become trapped in abusive cycles. They're not reactive, they're responsive. They may not say much, but trust. They're already 3 steps ahead. So while others are caught in the emotional web, the Sigma is quietly cutting the threads, planning his way out, and leveling up. He doesn't just survive emotional abuse, he learns from it and refuses to repeat it. Number 2, emotional abuse triggers their inner lone wolf. At first, the Sigma male might try to adapt. He'll question himself, wondering if he's being too cold or too distant. That's because Sigmas are introspective by nature. They're thinkers, analyzers, always examining their place in the world and how they affect others. But here's the turning point. Once the Sigma realizes the emotional discomfort isn't coming from within but from subtle manipulation or emotional games, he doesn't just step back, he shifts entirely. He goes full lone wolf mode. And when a Sigma disappears emotionally, you'll never find your way back in. This isn't about being dramatic, it's about self-preservation. Emotional withdrawal is not a tantrum, it's a quiet, deliberate strategy. Psychologists call this response detachment with awareness. It's common among people who value emotional clarity and independence. Unlike avoidance, which stems from fear, this kind of withdrawal is rooted in strength. The Sigma male isn't escaping, he's protecting his peace. He withdraws, not out of weakness, but as a calculated move of self-protection. Studies in behavioral psychology have shown that individuals who are highly self-reliant tend to disengage from toxic social dynamics rather than confront them with emotional volatility. This doesn't mean they don't care, it means they know the value of their energy and won't waste it on games. If you've ever been made to feel guilty for your boundaries, your solitude, or your independence, remember this: solitude is not a flaw. In a world addicted to constant connection, the ability to be alone without being lonely is a superpower. And for the Sigma male, it's his core strength. He doesn't isolate because he's broken, he separates to stay whole. Number 3, they begin to rewire their identity. Emotional abuse can either break a person or reveal who they truly are. For Sigma males, it's almost always the latter. While most people might crumble under constant manipulation, gaslighting, or belittling, Sigmas respond differently. Their solitude-loving, introspective nature gives them the perfect environment to transmute pain into power. When a Sigma goes through emotional abuse, they don't waste time seeking validation from the abuser or the crowd. Instead, they do what they do best: retreat, reflect, and rebuild. It's like upgrading their mental operating system. Books become their weapons, knowledge their shield. Neuroscience backs this up. Reading activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain involved in emotional regulation and decision-making. Meditation, that's not just a buzzword. It's been shown to physically change the brain, thickening the gray matter in areas linked to resilience and self-awareness. They start journaling, which psychologists have found helps process trauma, reduce stress, and improve mood. The gym becomes therapy. Exercise releases endorphins and improves brain chemistry. Countering the emotional fog abuse often leaves behind. Then comes the real breakthrough, rediscovering their core self. The version that existed before the manipulation, before the guilt trips, before someone tried to convince them they were too cold, too distant, or too hard to love. And when that version returns, it's not just restored, it's enhanced. Imagine the Sigma walking into a room again, no longer needing to explain themselves, no longer second-guessing their boundaries. Coffee, black, eyes clear, energy unreadable. They quote Nietzsche not to sound smart, but because they've lived it. That which does not kill me makes me stronger is no longer a quote. It's a lived experience. Sigmas don't just bounce back from emotional abuse, they bounce higher, sharper, and more focused. Because the truth is, emotional abuse never destroys a Sigma, it just sharpens their edges and makes them even more untouchable. Number 4. They develop an unshakable emotional firewall. One of the strangest and most powerful effects of emotional abuse is that it teaches the Sigma male exactly what not to tolerate ever again. While emotional abuse can be deeply painful, it acts like a forge, refining the Sigma mind through fire. Each toxic experience becomes a mental blueprint of what must be avoided at all costs. Every subtle manipulation, every passive-aggressive message, every guilt trip wrapped in the illusion of love. The Sigma doesn't just endure it, he analyzes it, stores it, and builds an internal firewall against it. It's like emotional antivirus software. Every red flag gets detected within seconds. Where others might excuse bad behavior or second-guess themselves, the Sigma has been through the storm and now recognizes the warning signs without hesitation. This heightened awareness is not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. Research in psychology shows that those who have experienced emotional abuse often develop sharper emotional intelligence and stronger boundaries over time, especially if they are introspective. Sigma males, being naturally independent and analytical, use their experience as data to upgrade their emotional operating system. Fake apologies noted and rejected, performative vulnerability decoded and dismissed, conditional affection identified and shut down. Emotional abuse doesn't destroy their ability to trust, it just recalibrates their radar. They no longer give people the benefit of the doubt by default. Instead, trust is earned through consistent action, not empty words. This is where Sigma males become emotionally untouchable, not because they are cold or distant, but because they are emotionally precise. They can love deeply, but not foolishly. They can empathize, but not be exploited. So, in a strange twist, emotional abuse becomes a kind of cruel teacher, and though the lessons are harsh, the Sigma emerges stronger, smarter, and sharper. Not broken, refined. Number 5, they channel the pain into purpose. Here's where Sigmas rise. While the average person might get trapped in emotional loops, resentment, self-doubt, or victimhood, the Sigma male takes a different path. He doesn't wallow, he works. He channels pain into purpose, setbacks into strategy, and criticism into clarity. Sigmas understand a vital truth backed by psychology. Adversity can trigger post-traumatic growth. This is the phenomenon where individuals emerge from hardship not just resilient, but radically transformed. Sigmas lean into this process. They don't just recover, they rebuild. Where others see obstacles, Sigmas see openings. Heartbreak becomes a lesson in self-worth. Betrayal becomes a blueprint for stronger boundaries. Instead of reacting emotionally, they respond intelligently. That's why you'll often find Sigmas creating businesses, launching personal brands, writing books, sculpting their physiques, or carving out space where no one else dared. They aren't just healing, they're constructing legacies. Every insult they've heard, filed away and converted into fuel. Every manipulation they've endured, studied and turned into wisdom. Every tear they've shed, remembered and repurposed as a turning point. If you're buried in the ashes right now, wondering if this is the end, think again. The Sigma male doesn't rise like a phoenix. He doesn't wait for wings. He erupts like a volcano, quiet at first, then undeniable. When he moves, people feel it. There's power in that silence, in that inner grind, in knowing your story isn't over, it's just getting interesting. So the next time someone thinks they've broken a Sigma, they might want to look again, because he wasn't falling apart. He was just taking notes. And that comeback? It's going to be legendary. Are you channeling your pain into power today? Number 6, they no longer seek validation, they demand respect. Emotional abuse is one of the most destructive forces in a person's life, with its long-lasting effects often being felt deep within the psyche. One of the most painful aspects of emotional abuse is the erosion of self-worth. The constant undermining of your value, your voice, and your identity can leave you feeling invisible, questioning who you are and what you deserve. This is a journey that many, unfortunately, must endure. However, those who adopt the Sigma mindset, those who embrace their independence, choose to see through the lies and games that are played in toxic relationships. A Sigma male, someone who thrives on self-reliance and autonomy, reacts to emotional abuse differently than others. Instead of sinking into despair or trying to explain his silence, he simply stops participating in the cycle altogether. One of the key traits of a Sigma is an inner strength that does not rely on external validation. He no longer feels the need to explain himself or justify his actions to anyone. His silence is not a cry for attention, but a conscious choice to protect his peace and maintain his dignity. Furthermore, the Sigma male doesn't feel the need to seek understanding from those who refuse to see him for who he truly is. This lack of dependency on others' approval means that when someone attempts to put him down or question his worth, he doesn't take it personally. Instead of fighting for validation, he holds on to his inner certainty. He rises above petty criticisms and toxic behavior. He understands that the only approval that matters is his own. The true power of the Sigma mindset lies in its self-reliance and emotional resilience. The Sigma male becomes the standard for what it means to be untouchable, not in the sense of being unreachable, but in the sense of being impervious to the negative energy that others may try to project onto him. He becomes a benchmark of emotional strength, where the choice is simple. You either rise to meet him, or you get left behind. In his journey of healing, the Sigma does not seek others' acknowledgement. He heals not to seek approval, but to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. His healing is not for the sake of winning others over. It is for the purpose of becoming untouchable, impervious to emotional manipulation, and fully aware of his worth. Through this transformation, he embodies an emotional freedom that others may never understand. Number 7, they become teachers without trying. The beauty of Sigma males lies in their ability to heal and transform without drawing attention to it. Unlike others who may shout their struggles or share every detail of their journey, Sigmas quietly rebuild themselves and let their actions speak volumes. They don't need to broadcast their growth on social media or make grand declarations of self-improvement. Their healing process is subtle yet powerful, and it's reflected in how they live. Their peace is not a show, it's the foundation of their strength. When you've healed, you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. Your peace is intimidating because it's a reminder that you've mastered the art of inner calm, no longer disturbed by external chaos. It's this silent strength that inspires others to do the same, to stop reacting to the noise around them and find their own sense of peace. Their silence also teaches. In a world that constantly demands opinions and noise, the Sigma male's ability to remain composed and thoughtful is a lesson in itself. While others may rant and vent, the Sigma male listens, observes, and responds with intention. The silence becomes a mirror for others, showing them the power of restraint and the value of measured responses. And then there are their boundaries, clear, firm, and non-negotiable. A Sigma knows that self-respect starts with the respect of one's limits. By standing firm in their boundaries, they not only protect their energy, but also show others how to do the same. So no words are needed. Just by existing in their healed Sigma energy, they naturally attract respect and attention, guiding others without saying a word. Number 8, they attract what they deserve. After experiencing emotional abuse, Sigma males don't just move on, they elevate. They don't settle for the same old dynamics that drained them in the past. Instead, they become more selective about who they allow into their lives, and most importantly, their energy. This process of refining their circle is intentional and strategic. Much like a job interview, Sigmas approach interactions with a discerning eye, evaluating whether someone's values align with theirs. They carefully assess what's being said, but more importantly, they read between the lines, picking up on the subtleties in tone, body language, and intent. They know that red flags can often show up in a conversation long before any behavior becomes apparent. Sigmas develop a heightened awareness where they no longer fall for the superficial charm or polished words. Instead, they are tuned into the underlying frequencies of a person's energy. Are they genuinely interested in who you are, or are they just trying to get something from you? Are they respectful of your boundaries, or do they make you feel like you're constantly on edge? Healing in this context doesn't make them harder or colder. It refines them. It allows them to see things more clearly, sharpening their intuition. They no longer feel the need to chase connection or fit into someone else's narrative. Instead, they focus on creating alignment with those who resonate with their own sense of peace, authenticity, and growth. Sigmas come to understand that when someone is threatened by their calm, confident, and centered energy, it's a reflection of that person's internal struggles, not the Sigma's fault. As they embrace their newfound clarity, Sigmas unapologetically say, "If my vibe disturbs your toxicity, that's a you problem, sweetheart." They know that their peace is non-negotiable, and they'll protect it at all costs. Here's what you must remember, Sigmas. Emotional abuse may feel like a war against your mind, but the Sigma doesn't lose himself in the chaos. He finds his core. You become more strategic, more focused, more powerful. And when you walk away, it's not in pieces, it's on purpose, because the Sigma brain isn't designed to be destroyed. It's built to evolve, Sigmas. If this video lit something inside you, if it helped you see your journey in a new light, then hit that like button and smash that subscribe. This is more than a channel, it's a movement, a place where Sigma minds gather, sharpen, and rise together. Apply the Sigma qualities to your life, and you'll see how impactful independent living transforms everything, from your mindset to your relationships. Stay true and stay Sigma. Why does being true to yourself sometimes feel like standing alone on an invisible battlefield? Ever felt like you're fighting battles nobody else even sees? Welcome to the Sigma life. Imagine this. You walk into a crowded room and suddenly the air changes. Conversations pause. Eyes follow you, but mouths stay shut. Some people are curious, others are intimidated, a few are just plain confused. No drama, no attention-seeking, just pure silent power. You don't fit into any box society built, and honestly, you stopped trying a long time ago. Psychologists describe Sigma males as individuals who operate outside traditional social hierarchies, valuing independence, authenticity, and self-sufficiency. But behind that composed exterior and lone wolf lifestyle lies a reality most will never understand. It's a life filled with silent battles, decisions made without applause, sacrifices made without recognition, and values upheld without compromise. Studies show that people who live authentically often face social isolation, especially in environments that reward conformity over individuality. It's not just imagination, it's reality. Sigmas, today we're pulling back the curtain. Today we reveal the 11 dark realities every Sigma male faces but rarely explains. The world only sees the surface. It doesn't see the storm you navigate daily, the silent wars, the hidden truths, the sacrifices made for freedom. Let's dive deep, brothers. Number 1, true freedom comes with crushing loneliness. Being free is the ultimate dream, right? No bosses breathing down your neck, no fake friendships, no herd mentality, just you doing you. But here's the kicker. Freedom has a price. And that price is loneliness. And not the, "I'm bored, let me scroll through my phone" kind of loneliness. It's the deep soul level kind, the feeling that nobody truly you. You could be surrounded by a crowd and still feel like you're on an island. Psychologically, studies show that highly independent individuals, like Sigma males, often experience what's called existential loneliness, a profound sense of separation from others, because of how uniquely they think and live. You crave your independence like oxygen, but deep down, there's a longing for someone who can walk beside you without trying to change you, mold you, or control you. Yet here's the truth. True companionship is rare because your soul is rare. You value authenticity, honesty, and freedom so deeply that only a few people will ever match your vibration. And that's okay. Throughout history, many great minds, Einstein, Tesla, even Da Vinci, embraced solitude because they understood. The price of genuine freedom is sometimes feeling like a lone wolf. But in that space, they created their greatest work, found their deepest peace, and lived lives of true authenticity. So remember, the loneliness you sometimes feel is not a punishment. It's proof that you are living life on your terms, and that's a trade worth making. Number 2, misunderstood by almost everyone. You know that awkward moment when people think they know you? Yeah, they don't. In today's world, people slap labels on others faster than a Black Friday sale. Oh, he's arrogant. Oh, he's shy. Oh, he's mysterious. Wrong, and wrong again. When it comes to Sigma males, society often misfires in its attempts to categorize them. Sigmas operate outside traditional social hierarchies. They don't crave attention like alphas, nor do they seek approval like betas. Instead, they move independently, fueled by internal goals rather than external validation. This can confuse people who rely heavily on group identity for their sense of belonging. You are not playing a role, they just can't decode you. Psychology calls this projection bias, the tendency for people to assume others think, feel, or behave as they do. When they encounter someone who doesn't mirror their expectations, they misinterpret it. A Sigma's quiet focus may seem like arrogance, his reserve may look like shyness, and his independence may feel like mystery, but really it's just authenticity. Explaining yourself? Pointless. Sigmas understand that you don't waste energy explaining a masterpiece to those still learning to color inside the lines. Your uniqueness is your strength, not something that needs validation. People will either appreciate it or misunderstand it, and either outcome has nothing to do with your value. Stay focused, stay independent, and let them keep guessing. Number 3, overthinking is both a blessing and a curse. Your brain is like a Formula One engine, high-powered, high-speed, and at times dangerously close to overheating. You don't just think, you overthink. Every move, every word, every consequence, it's a double-edged sword. Your ability to analyze every detail is why you often stay 5 steps ahead of everyone else. Research even shows that people with high analytical thinking skills often outperform others in leadership roles, innovation, and problem-solving. But there's a catch. That same razor-sharp mind can turn on you, especially when the world goes quiet at 2 a.m. One small thought snowballs into questioning your last conversation, your relationships, your career choices, and even your life purpose. This mental spiral is common among high achievers and deep thinkers. Neuroscientists have found that overthinkers tend to have heightened activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for complex decision-making and social behavior. It's like having a supercomputer that occasionally glitches under too much pressure. Here's your motivation. Your mind is your sword. Sharpen it, train it, and control it. Use it to cut through challenges, not to stab yourself with endless self-doubt. Mastering your mind means learning when to shift gears, when to race, and when to idle. After all, even the most powerful Formula One cars need pit stops to stay in the game. Number 4, independence creates invisible walls. You built your own kingdom, no reliance, no dependencies. You are the king and also the lone knight. In the world of social dynamics, this mirrors the essence of a Sigma male. Fiercely independent, self-sufficient, and entirely comfortable outside the traditional hierarchy. You crafted a life on your terms, answering to no one, relying on no one. This independence is a rare strength. Studies in social psychology show that self-reliant individuals often experience higher resilience and stronger problem-solving skills because they trust their instincts rather than seeking external validation. However, over time, your independence can start to look like an impenetrable fortress. To others, you might seem unapproachable, even intimidating. Research highlights that perceived social aloofness can reduce networking opportunities by up to 40%. Not because of capability, but simply because people fear rejection. Friendships may struggle too, not because you lack warmth, but because your self-sufficiency masks it. You are not cold, you are careful. You protect your inner world like a knight defends a sacred realm. Sigmas, remember this. It is perfectly okay to open a door sometimes. Genuine opportunities, meaningful connections, and unexpected alliances can add richness to your journey. The key is balance. Open the door when it feels right, but keep your hand firmly on the handle, ready to shut it if anything threatens your peace. Your kingdom is still yours. You simply become a wise ruler, not a walled-off warrior. Number 5, people expect you to explain yourself constantly. Why don't you text back fast enough? Or why don't you hang out more? Why do you keep everything to yourself? Sound familiar? It's like people expect a constant broadcast of your every move, but here's the truth. You are wired differently. You are built for depth, not speed, for quality, not quantity. And explaining your inner peace to people who thrive on constant noise is like trying to stream a 4K movie on dial-up internet. It just doesn't work. Psychologically speaking, introverted and independent thinkers operate from a different neural pattern. Studies show that introverts have thicker gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain linked to deep thought and decision-making. You naturally crave solitude, introspection, and meaningful connections, not endless chatter. Trying to explain your peaceful nature to someone addicted to instant validation is draining. It's not your responsibility to translate your soul into a language they barely speak. Real connections don't demand explanations. They come with understanding built in. The right people will recognize your vibe without needing a user manual. So until you find your tribe, the ones who nod in silent agreement instead of questioning your every move, keep walking like you own the sidewalk. Your peace is not a problem to solve. It's your greatest power. Protect it. Number 6, success feels empty without purpose. You hit milestones others only dream about. Money, you've got it. Freedom, you've earned it. Skill sets, sharper than ever. But here's the twist. None of it truly satisfies without purpose. Without that inner compass pointing towards something greater, even success can feel like sand slipping through your fingers. It looks impressive on the outside, but inside, hollow, draining, pointless. That's because for a Sigma male, success isn't measured by external rewards. It's measured by depth. Sigma males are wired differently. Studies in psychology show that introverted, independent thinkers often derive fulfillment not from accolades, but from alignment with personal values and impact. While others are busy collecting trophies, Sigmas are building legacies. They don't chase titles, they chase transcendence. Transcendence, in this context, means rising above ego, societal pressure, and surface-level validation. It's about asking, what difference did I make? Sigmas want to leave fingerprints on the world that time can't erase. They build movements, inspire minds, and craft lives that echo beyond their own years. Purpose is what gives their power meaning. Money is just a tool. Freedom is a platform. Skills are the chisels. But purpose? That's the blueprint. Without it, the masterpiece remains incomplete. So if you're a Sigma who's climbed the mountain but feels no joy at the summit, it's time to look inward. You weren't made to just succeed, you were made to matter. What's driving your climb? Number 7, you are constantly battling your inner demons alone. Everyone has demons, fears, insecurities, traumas, but for Sigma males, those internal battles are fought in silence, without a crowd, without a crutch, and without applause. You handle pain like a seasoned warrior, not because you enjoy it, but because you understand that true strength isn't displayed, it's earned in the shadows. Unlike others who seek validation or lean on external support, Sigma males prefer solitude when facing their darkness. No therapy groups, no social media cries for help, no emotional spectacles. This isn't because you're emotionless, far from it. It's because your self-reliance is your therapy and your mind is your battlefield. Psychology backs this up. Studies show that introverted personality types, especially those with high independence and internal locus of control, often process trauma differently. You reflect deeply, strategize quietly, and act decisively. This level of emotional discipline doesn't make you cold, it makes you rare. In a world that overshares and overreacts, Sigmas conserve energy for the actual fight. You don't announce your pain, you conquer it. And the battles you fight, they're real. Internal wars like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and existential questioning can be more brutal than physical ones because they don't leave visible scars, they leave lessons. Winning a battle no one knows you're fighting, that's a different kind of power. It's not about being a lone wolf for the sake of image, it's about being self-contained, mentally armored, and spiritually disciplined. Sigmas don't need validation because your reward is self-mastery. And that's the kind of strength that doesn't just impress others, it transforms you from the inside out. Number 8, vulnerability is harder than war. You could climb mountains, build empires, take hits like a champ, but opening your heart, trusting someone with your hidden self, that's a whole different battlefield. For the Sigma male, vulnerability isn't just uncomfortable. It's a calculated risk. These men aren't afraid of emotions. They just don't hand them out like party favors. Their hearts aren't locked up because they're fragile. No, they're locked because they're sacred. Psychologists define emotional vulnerability as the willingness to be open about one's feelings, fears, and flaws. For most, it's hard. But for Sigmas, men who live on the fringe of social hierarchies, self-reliant and emotionally self-contained, it's even harder. Why? Because vulnerability is more than emotional exposure. For them, its Sigmas don't wear their hearts on their sleeves. They wear armor built from experience, solitude, and deep introspection. Trust isn't given, it's. And not through flashy charm or surface-level connections, but through integrity, loyalty, and depth. In a world where oversharing is often confused with authenticity, Sigma males are strategic. They know not everyone deserves access to their inner world, and they're right. Studies show that misplaced trust can lead to betrayal, emotional manipulation, and long-term trauma. So when a Sigma opens up, it's not a slip. It's a decision, carefully weighed and deeply felt. So remember, vulnerability isn't about lowering your guard, it's about choosing who's worthy enough to see what lies behind it. The Sigma heart isn't weak, it's a fortress. And only a rare few are ever handed the key. Would you trust just anyone with your crown jewels? Neither would a Sigma. Number 9, your energy triggers people's insecurities. When you're a Sigma male, your mere presence seems to stir up reactions in others. It's not about what you say or do, it's the energy you carry. Sigma males exude a quiet confidence that doesn't need to be validated through words or actions. This stillness can make others feel uneasy, even though you're not actively trying to assert dominance or seek attention. For the betas, who often feel insecure or overlooked, your effortless sense of self-worth can feel like a challenge to their need for validation. They may get twitchy, trying to figure out how to compete for attention or recognition, but they can't figure you out. They sense that you're not concerned with the same social games they are. Alphas, who thrive on being at the top of the hierarchy, often feel defensive around a Sigma male. The Sigma doesn't play by their rules or seek their approval, which threatens their sense of control. Alphas can't easily manipulate or dominate you, and that creates friction. Then there are the fake friends, the ones who wear masks and compete for superficial approval. They get weirdly competitive when they realize you're not interested in competing. For them, it's uncomfortable because you're a reminder that validation and success don't require playing the same game they do. Simply put, your authentic self, your light, is often uncomfortable for those who are still stuck in the shadows of insecurity, validation, and competition. Number 10, love hits you deeper and harder. When a Sigma falls in love, it's not just a fleeting attraction or a casual connection, it's an intense, authentic, and deep commitment. Sigmas love with everything they have, pouring their entire heart and soul into the relationship. Unlike others who may entertain multiple options or dabble in the talking stage, a Sigma's affection is all or nothing. This level of love makes heartbreaks feel like a personal devastation. The pain of betrayal hits much harder because it's not something they take lightly. A Sigma's heart, once given, is given completely, and losing that trust or connection can take a long time to heal from. But here's the truth. When a Sigma does give his heart, it's a rare and precious gift. Few can say they've received such devotion. It's not something they offer often, and when they do, it's the deepest kind of love you can experience. Number 11, you are on a lifetime quest for self-mastery. Sigmas aren't driven by the need for external approval. They're focused on a journey of continuous self-evolution. They're constantly mastering their minds, sharpening their intellects, and refining their mental resilience. Physical strength isn't just about appearances for them, it's a reflection of discipline and endurance. Sigmas invest in their bodies because they understand their connection to personal power. On the spiritual side, they cultivate inner peace and higher awareness. Sigmas don't seek validation from others, nor do they conform to societal expectations. Their energy is spent on owning their own destiny, creating the future they desire, one decision at a time. This path isn't for everyone. It's steep, lonely, and relentless. But that's what makes it so transformative. The true key to a Sigma's journey isn't about reaching some unreachable standard of perfection. It's about consistent progress, even in the face of adversity, making each day a step forward. Sigmas, listen up. The world might never fully understand you, and that's okay. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to stand out. Sigmas don't follow the crowd. They pave their own path. Leading without asking permission and living without boundaries is your essence. Your independence is your strength, and your silence is your sanctuary. Embrace the solitude. It's a sign of your inner power. The challenges you face, they're not obstacles. They're evidence of the incredible light you carry within. Being a Sigma means thriving in the face of adversity, using your solitude to grow stronger. Sigmas, if this resonates with you, hit that like button, subscribe, and join this unstoppable community. Here, we don't just exist, we thrive. We don't follow, we lead. Live by Sigma principles and watch the world around you transform. Stay true, stay Sigma.